Greetings, dear viewers, ladies and gentlemen. This is Addis Dialogue, which deals with current issues unfolding in Ethiopia. Adel Ben-Harhara is a project management professional and author. Over the years, he has also worked in multiple professionals and industries, including technology, healthcare, and engineering. As a child in Ethiopia, he had to go through some challenges which could easily have made him lose hope. However, beating all odds, as he was resilient and visionary, he has gotten to the place where he is now. And he is my guest today, coming all the way from Canada with the program. I'm Shifarao Lago. Do stay with us. Thank you so much for joining me, Adel.
Thank you.
Let me take you back to your life as a child in Ethiopia. Unfortunately, you had some tough times back then, following the passing away of your father and your mother, unable to support you, and eventually you ended up in the streets. So how did you feel then? Were you kind of desperate? Did you ever lose hope? Tell me, please.
Okay. Thank you for inviting me and giving some kind of pretext to this meeting and my book. As you know, I have written 3 books.
Yeah.
The first book is my life in Ethiopia, the first 16 years. And the second book is my life in Yemen, about 12 years. The third book is focusing on my life in North America between US and Canada. I came from a father who came to this nation to fight against the Italian. He was in the British Army. Mm-hmm. And my mother she was a nanny in one of his friend's house. He was a well-to-do, affluent father, he was. And unfortunately, he died unexpected at the age of 55. She was a very young woman, and after the death of my father, the finances fall apart, and I was staying with my uncle after the death of my father between 5 and 8. Then he had to disappear for various reasons, as mentioned in the book, financial reasons, and he left me in the house. So between age and 10 years old in Nazareth, which currently known as Adama, I was on the streets and fending myself and trying to find the food. It was a tough time. As a child, you don't see it as a challenge. You don't see it as a struggle because you're operating like an animal. You just want to find the next meal so that you can suppress the hunger. As an adult, when I look at it, yes, I have a difficult childhood. It was a challenging time. So in a nutshell, my childhood was a very difficult one, especially those between age and 10 when you didn't have a family or a home.
You know what, I'm raising this question because I believe that your personal life, your past life can be a great example to Ethiopians and others, of course, that are in a similar situation that you had back then. So you were luckily resilient enough, and beating all odds, you came out of it victorious to the place where you are now. So how did you manage to get out of this, which could easily have made you, hopeless or something like that?
Correct. I don't know if I consider myself victorious or adventurous or planned it. There are people who intervene in my life for a better. My aunt came to rescue me. There's my father's friend Ahmed Banser who really facilitate some of the things for me to do that. My story being semi-orphan or not having a parent is not new for Ethiopian. What makes my story different and interesting is I didn't stay where I was. I kept moving and changing to be in a better place, which is, to me, education was a key and a support I got from people, obviously. So it's a combination of perseverance, my own struggle, and believing that this will go away. And also other people stepped in my life to help me. So it's a combination of things.
Yeah, exactly. So, as you know, there are lots of youngsters who are street children or orphaned as a result of diverse issues, of course. What do you feel when you see them, and what should they do and the society also do in this regard?
Yeah, I usually don't like to give, don't prefer giving advice because I never take an advice. I never listen.
Okay, you brave it out.
I am a mischievous boy. I don't listen. So if I had to share my experience to, if they can listen or read my story, is nothing stays consistent.
Mm-hmm.
If you stay in school, if you stay out of trouble, find a situation or a person that can be modeling the idea of changing your life.
Right.
My life didn't become better just because I went to Yemen or US or Canada. The basics of my principle was founded here as a child. So the key element to younger children is that to have hope, to have discipline, schooling.
Mm-hmm.
It just, education is not just to read and write, but to listen to elderly and
you need to behave.
and our generation behaving is way too strict, but there is a balance. Behaving means to stay out of trouble, whatever society or law considers it to be inappropriate.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Okay, great. So let me come to you. Not only did you, get out of those challenging times, but also you wrote memoir or books which reflect your life history in the past and the current history. So what's the motive behind you, writing such memoirs or
memoir? First of all, you may have just read book one.
Yeah.
I had a very difficult childhood, but the challenge, it didn't stop just because I crossed the Red Sea.
Right.
I had issues in Yemen because of my color, the society, the culture. Then I went to US. In America, just because you're living in America, you don't have any challenge. To go to university, you have to understand the language,
Of course.
the culture.
Yeah.
So my challenge was not confined or limited to Ethiopia. I continually to have challenges, even if I cross boundaries, geographical area. So back to your question, what is your motives to write the book? There are multiple motives. Number one, I endured a lot of pain in me.
Yeah.
And purging it out is a good thing for you, not to keep it. Second, if I write a book, you have three purposes. One, in a book, you have to entertain a person. They have to laugh about your mischiefs, your bad times. And I don't know if you read my books. Inside, I wrote a lot of situations that happened to me. Most boys can be embarrassed and laugh about it. Number two, if a person spends the time and the money to read my book, when I'm writing my book and I turn myself in the reader's position, what this sentence teaches me, what this sentence makes me think, or what I thought it was about something, what change of mind can happen. So the third motive is that this book, if it can land in the hands of children, in Canada, for example, Ministry of Education, Calgary Board of Education considering my book for junior high school students as a supplementary.
Wow.
So if children read this book...
That's something, right?
That is something.
Yes.
So if children reads my book, young adults between 10 and 15 years old, it might help them question what they do today, what they will be doing tomorrow. And the income of the sales of this book can help children who didn't have the opportunity to stay in the school or put bread on the table.
Talking about your book, I've learned that the proceedings or the money that's gotten from the books will go to street children or orphans in Ethiopia and in Yemen, right?
Yes.
So this is also a noble cause. How successful have you been so far in this regard?
Okay, I wrote the book maybe 7 months ago, the first book. So I've been communicating with the Ethiopian community how I can give this manuscript and 1,000 books to Ethiopia to start with. So if this 1,000 books sold or distributed, portion of it, they can generate money. If they have the original manuscript, they can print and sell it. So it sustains itself. So the Ethiopian one, I think, it got traction. I had a book launch a month ago, and about 4 bookstores willing to sell my books without commission. I'm talking to 3 to 4 organizations, charity organizations. They take the revenue and distribute it to the children. And I went to see about 90 orphans in Fiji.
Okay. Yeah.
So I went to see them, and I'm also in communication with Mary Jo.
Okay.
I don't know if you know Zabidar. So the success is premature. So we're trying to make sure that the people I'm dealing with understood the story,
Okay.
and the benefit for twofold. So number one, the story is helpful if it is read and listen to it. So we're preparing an audiobook as well. The second part of it is any revenue comes in, it will help. So we try to find people who promote the book and get more readers so they can buy it,
Yeah.
and the revenue can go. So I introduced 1,000 books. I'm not sure how many sold so far,
Okay.
but with you and other people talking about it,
Yeah.
more books will be printed, or more books will be sold. So I'm not getting any revenue out of it. This
Wow.
is my gift to those children, and my book will be public domain. I don't know what it's called here. It is a property for everyone.
Wow.
So that is what
Wow.
I'm thinking, because if I bring 1,000 chocolate, it will be forgotten in
Yeah.
a couple of hours.
Definitely.
Those books have a lasting impression on younger generation today and tomorrow, maybe 50 years from now.
Exactly. Tell me more about your book. I've learned that they've been translated into 3 languages.
3 languages. As you know, I am half Arab, half Ethiopian. The second book is intended to help children in Yemen.
Okay.
Yemen is in a war now. We don't even have a government, proper government. I am in communication with family members living in Abu Dhabi. So we try to find a way to establish the same kind of structure in Yemen. The book can be sold and children be helped. That is very infant stage, because when you have a war, the very first thing you do is getting water, electricity.
Yeah.
So selling a book for Yemen is a secondary at the moment. But I have that vision next year, 2 years from now, it might happen. So the first book is for Ethiopia, the second book is for Yemen, the third book is for North America. I speak 3 languages, obviously, so I needed my story to be told with my languages, Amharic, Arabic, and English obviously become a dominant language in my life.
Since you know the hardships as a young boy, I also want to ask you this question. How do you describe, maybe if you have some time and if you've seen it, how do you describe Ethiopian orphanage system? Have you considered it? Have you made some observations about that?
I haven't visited a lot of orphanage facilities and services properly to provide good assessment. My sense of understanding in the past, orphanage or any charity was associated with religion or ethnic.
Yeah.
Poverty has no color,
No,
has no gender,
none whatsoever.
has no religion. I like a charity organization doesn't have any attachment to it. I don't have to get a braid to carry the cross and worship Jesus Christ. I can be non-believer, I can be a Muslim, I can be just a good person. So charity organization, orphanage facilities, most of them are good, but if they are attached to religion, ethnicity, it dilutes the purpose. So
Yeah.
mine is more of, as you call it in English, centered
Okay.
or neutral.
Neutral, yeah.
Neutral.
That's better.
So I don't have a lot of opinion. I respect every charity organization operating. I like to work with those who don't have boundaries.
Exactly.
Boundaries of human boundaries. We put ethnic or religion or language. No. As I said earlier, poverty and being poor has no class.
No, just humanity is enough, to support.
Humanity is enough. And I am a father of 2 daughters and a brother of many sisters, 4 of them. I learned a female hygiene product prevents some girls from going to school because they keep them at home 4 to 5, 7 days until they finish the cycle. That takes out a lot of school time.
Yeah.
So with my daughters, we try to get some kind of help to those girls, and we need to respect girls in that with that regards, because in North America, those products are either free or heavily subsidized.
Okay.
In Ethiopia, I don't know where it's at, and I hate to see a girl being taken out of school until her natural cycle is done. So
Yeah.
I'm looking at things in a different way than just, there is no attachment to my charity. I brought my book, I'm not pushing religion. I'm not pushing.
No strings attached.
No string attached, because
Okay.
then it defeats the purpose if you carry conditions behind in the back.
That's humanity.
That's humanity.
Yeah, yeah. Let me come to you. You know, you write your own stories. So this is your memoir or autobiography,
Yeah.
if you will. This is something really interesting and wonderful. On the other side, there are some people that say when you write your own stories, you know, there is this issue of becoming
Issues.
one-sided, you know,
Yeah.
something like that. So have you considered about that?
When I started writing my book, I was challenged, besides the languages, that I needed to make it a good readable book. I struggled with the truth. In Arabic or Islamic religion, it's impossible or unthinkable to write about a father or mother who passed away, in particular in a negative light.
Oh,
My father tasted alcohol, and a lot of Muslim brothers and sisters really criticized me. How dare are you to write a book in such a way? On the other hand, I have relatives also, whether it's in Yemen or in Ethiopia. I wrote the book in a very honest way,
okay.
including my flaw and my issues. Usually we try to hide negative things and we write beautiful things. Then that's not true. So my book caused friction, and they wanted me to rewrite it. They wanted me to remove this. This doesn't work with this culture. Then you're painting a flower that doesn't exist. So I had to be honest, and it doesn't sit very well with Yemeni Arabic culture and Ethiopian culture, and people who read the book was astonished how honest, how open I was about
Wow.
everything. And it has to be. And if you're not honest, the reader knows it.
Exactly.
So don't embellish, don't exaggerate, say it as it is, and don't impose opinion. Because if I pushed my own thinking on you, that means I'm disrespecting what you have, the value you have. I am pushing an idea on you. So I wrote situation as they were, how I felt at that time, but I am a little bit reserved to say that is the way it's supposed to be.
Okay.
Because you have to stay open. Let reader bring emotions and ideas their own.
The reader is the judge, right?
The reader is the judge, the reader is the audience, the reader brings their own emotions, their own knowledge to the book, their own experience. And I remember one professor in Canada, they interviewed him about my book, and he said, Adel may have written the book, but the story is ours.
Wow. Amazing. I've tried to see some of the things that you've been doing. In addition to writing, you have also other pastimes, like, you know, hiking, like taking part in a marathon, something like that. Can you tell me more about that?
Okay, first of all, I have a friend, Abara Lamma. He's an author. And
I know.
do you know
He's
him?
also a friend of mine.
Yes, he tells people, oh, Adele ran 27 marathon. Most people think I did that 30 years ago.
Oh, really?
I just ran New York Marathon 2-3 months ago.
Really? Wow.
So
Amazing.
running a marathon is not something new for Ethiopian.
Of course.
Ethiopia has a legendary runners came out of this country. Probably they think we were born genetically to run. But I disagree. I ran the first marathon when I was 52 years old. That means you may not have been 50 yet. You can still run.
Of course.
The writing of about my marathon and the counting and referring about marathon is to show anyone can do anything at any time if you want to.
Wow.
So I was 52 when I started running a marathon. I ran 27. There are 6 marathons in the world. You go to Guinness Book. So I have Tokyo to do that, so I'll be in the Guinness Book. So I ran marathon not to prove my fitness abilities or to bonify I'm really Ethiopian, but I had issues in my marriage. I'm raising 2 daughters by myself. Sometimes I'm stressed. So people turn into alcohol or drug or do something else. I applied the energy to run and to hike, to ski, to bike. So to me, physical exercise is a means to balance your brain,
Of course.
your intellectual abilities. So it's a hobby, and I run a marathon for fun,
Wow.
recreational.
Oh, amazing. Amazing. It's also exemplary, you know.
And I climb Kilimanjaro, as you know.
Yeah.
And I promised my daughter, she was struggling in school, I said, if you improve your grades, I'll climb Kilimanjaro.
Wow.
I didn't know personally if Kilimanjaro was in Tanzania or Kenya.
Okay.
Once she improved her school and she get an award for most improved student, she said, Daddy promised me Kilimanjaro.
Wow.
How can I get out of this?
Of course.
So I researched and I packed. The third day, I almost decided not to finish because you have, high
Elevation,
altitude, elevation, oxygen is a problem. So when I left Canada, they gave me 3 rocks.
Okay.
Says love, leave, laugh. So all start with L. And they said, when you go to the summit, cast in our name and throw it. I said, okay. It was in my pocket. The third day I was vomiting, the altitude. So I called the guide to take me back to the base.
Wow.
And his name is Rama. I said, Rama, he doesn't listen to me. So when I got up, these rocks fall off my pocket.
Oh.
Oh, I promised my children. So I put back the rocks and I finished it in 5 days. So again, I was 55 when I hiked Kilimanjaro. And the hiking mates I had, 2 20-year-old boys from Denmark. If you added the 2 boys' age, is 40, still younger than me. Their fathers are younger than me. So, you know what? You may have came from poor country. You may have difficult childhood.
Yeah.
You can still do it.
You can do it.
Yeah.
You
So that is the message. It gives hope. It gives confidence. Any child, any person who reads my story, they can walk away from it. If you can do it, I can do it.
Yes.
If that is what it takes, one child, I change their mind, I'll be very happy. Plus, I grew up in conflicting religion and cultural situation.
Yes, I know that.
Yes, and I was embarrassed to be known as half Arab because that's a generation at that time.
Okay.
I just wanted to show whether you are an Arab, Muslim, or this ethnicity, that ethnicity, we're still human.
Exactly. Yeah.
And let's believe in the basics and focus on the right things. So those are the motivation I had. And I get sad when I come to Ethiopia, when I see the buildings. I've been telling this story many times. I told someone, I wish I didn't read Amharic when I read the building signs. Mall, bonjour, all English words.
Written in Amharic.
In Amharic. I wish I didn't read Amharic. So somebody asked me, why? And I give them a story. In Egypt, there was a Ministry of Education. He was blind. His name was Taha Hussein. When he took in charge of Ministry of Education, all curriculums were taught using British curriculum. And he made it to be their own native language. We introduced math. We introduced algebra. It came in from Arab society.
Of course.
Students revolted and walked to his office and screaming at him that he's taking them 100 years backward just because he's changing it to local language. So he said to them, he said, all my life I was disappointed to be blind because I couldn't see the moon. I couldn't see the flower. The very first time I'm happy to be blind because I don't have to see your face. He said, it's good enough I hear you. So when I came here, I see this building. When you have a language, a culture, a calendar, a religion, history, you naming every building an English name, it's just, I wish I don't read Amharic.
Wow. Wow.
It's
amazing.
We should be proud of what you have.
Yes, yes, definitely. What is your plan in the future? And another question, what is your message to our audience, finally? Two questions in one.
I would like my audience to read the book.
Okay.
Once you read the book, recommend it to another person from personal, selfish reason, not to make money.
Okay.
But I would like Ethiopian to really sit back and see the history this country has. Not many countries in this planet have cuisine. There's about 12 countries in the world they can say national dish.
Right.
How many countries in the world? About 200?
Maybe.
But only 12, 13 people, 13 countries. Ethiopia is one of them. And I get disappointed when I see they're running after pizza and burger when you have a perfectly balanced diet of its own. The religion. You don't have to import a religion when you have your own. You can be proud. The language. In Canada, they try to revive the native language to come to surface, because when European came, the natives' language was disappearing, because for many reasons they're wiping and building a Western civilization to it. Now they realized the language, indigenous culture needs to be maintained.
Yeah.
We are running away from it. So I hear an Ethiopian person, whether it's an official or normal person, every single sentence has 2, 3 English words. That doesn't make you civilized. It makes me confused. So sit back, enjoy what you have.
Yeah.
If you don't have, borrow. But if you have, be proud of what you have.
Yeah.
I will never deny being half Ethiopian or half Arab.
No.
It doesn't make me a less of a person.
No,
I
it
can do
doesn't.
what any white man can do. I can do it. So do you.
Exactly. Exactly.
That is simple message.
Yeah. I think that's a message.
If I don't know who offended, we can get offended with this one, but we need to be proud of what we have, even if we are poor.
Yeah.
My kids saw my mom how poor she was, but they recognized how dignified, how graceful she was. They didn't care the clothing,
Yeah.
the lack of chair and couch or TV. They wanted to see the value that person is carrying, and Ethiopians have that and maintain it.
Wow. What a message. Thank you so much for being with us. Thanks a lot for the wonderful ideas that you've just given me. Thanks a lot indeed.
Thank you.
Well, dear viewers, with that, we come to the end of today's program. Thanks a lot for having been with us. Until I see you next time with yet another program, it's goodbye from me. Shukran alaikum. Stay safe and take care.